What's up everyone, hello, my name is Scolarion, and today we will finally be talking about the developer update, a legendary balance change. Hell yes, I've been waiting for this ever since they announced it, the buffs to legendary epics and rares. So without further ado, let's get into the developer update and I'll share my thoughts on it and see what's in store for the next few weeks of South Park Phone Destroyer. So first of all, starts off, hey everyone, Steve from Red Links here. Unfortunately, this week's developer update is a bit late, but it is, as they say, better late than never. That's a weird sentence. Today I'm covering a ton of stuff, so grab your reading glasses and get stoked, Phone Destroyers. So this week isn't too much to say, as this week is basically over. I know. We are, however, currently having another awesome event that will give you another shot to earn Cupid Cartman. So that's the Valentine event going on right now. This is all pretty general stuff. I mean, they talked a little bit about the developer update. So, I mean the developer stream. So every week there's a developer stream. You can check that out at twitch.tv/SouthParkPhoneDestroyer, where Steve and Buck, I believe, they play the game and they answer questions for about 2 hours. They do giveaways. This week they gave away Cupid Cartman and all the materials and coins you needed to get him up to level 3, so that's really cool. Next week though, if they hit 500 viewers on the stream, they will actually be giving away a Mecha Timmy. So if you want a Mecha Timmy, tune into that next week. It should be on Friday. I'm not sure about the time, but yeah, definitely check that out. Oh, it's actually there. Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific. It's actually Friday for me because I'm from Europe. But yeah, check that out. Awesome stream. Red Links, great guys. Great community involvement. Oh well, let's get into the interesting stuff because that's why you're all here. So the balance changes. This is where stuff gets even more interesting. Hell yeah. So on Tuesday of next week, we will be releasing a pretty big balance update. Like a huge one, yes. Honestly, it's so big that it would be insane. It would be an insane task to even list the specifics of every rare, epic, and legendary change. However, I will say this. Almost every single one of them got a scaling buff to attack and health. So what does that mean? Good question. All of your rare, epic, and legendary units, except Underpants Gnomes, will remain the same at level 1, upgrade 0. I'm not sure if that means Underpants Gnomes will get a different stat line at level 1 or level 0, however you want to call it. I think they might get a little tweak at that point. However, in order to keep them viable and exciting, they will now receive added boosts when being upgraded due to improved scaling throughout their upgrade tree. So when they get to level 1, upgrade 1, they will have received a modest boost to their upgraded stats, and this will continue until their max upgrade point. Underpants Gnomes have not been adjusted. Oh well, so there's your answer. Poor Underpants Gnomes rip. So yeah, this is great news. So the epic, legendaries, and the rares, they will actually start feeling more powerful as soon as they scale up compared to commons. I think this is pretty good. Of course, the cards are more rare, so I mean they should feel a little bit more powerful. It makes sense. They're also more expensive to upgrade. Overall, though, I think this is mostly a long-term play. When friendly battles get released, which they announced in the developer stream today as well. So friendly battles will have level caps on the cards, which will be level 4 for commons, level 3 for rares, 2 for epics, and 1 for legendaries. So I think this is mostly a change to get that stat line sort of balanced out when they're all at tournament cap. So I mean, a level 4 common versus a level 1 legendary might seem like a little bit of a the common will win out most of the time. But if you max him out at level 1, if the scaling is just right, and the scaling is like high enough on the legendaries, same goes for epics and rares, they'll probably kind of equal out. Or the legendaries might even be a little bit stronger because of their effects, which is, I mean, it's fine. It's pretty much how it should be. Like commons commons should mostly be there to fill your deck, but like epic and legendary effects, also rares to an extent, they're kind of the thing that gives the identity to your deck. If you play like a Medusa Bebe, I mean, Medusa Bebe might not be the best example here, but for instance, a Mecha Timmy, like Mecha Timmy kind of puts the whole board control theme to your deck. I'll get to Stand of Many Moons in a sec. He's a straight up strong fighter too. But what I'm getting at is that the effects of the legendaries are kind of what makes the deck get its theme. And the overall feel for playstyle. Commons should be a filler. So, I don't know where I'm going with this rant. So, it all should level out, but the effects should put legendaries a little bit above. Effects-wise, stat-wise, it should be somewhat the same. So, onto the balance changes. There are some standalone changes that have been made to specific cards. So these are all based on effects. So Stand of Many Moons. Here we go. If you were sad about having Stand of Many Moons, you should now reconsider, because this is crazy. Sadly, this warrior of brown, blue, and red isn't getting the love he deserves. That'll change, however, as he's had his charge ability buffed. Previously, his charge ability did 60 damage at level 1, upgrade 0. So it's completely 0 upgrades. 300 maximum damage at the max rank. However, the base damage of his charge ability will be a whopping 200. That's with no upgrades. This will scale across his upgrade tree to max out at 600. So, it more than tripled unupgraded, which is insane. Also, there's the scaling bonus to attack and health, so he'll be even stronger stat-wise as a fighter. His like maximum damage on the effect is 600, so it will probably scale up a little bit more. I took the stats of Fireball to compare. So Fireball does 207 damage at level 2, and does 261 at level 3. So if you upgrade Stand of Many Moons to 5 out of 5 on level 1, there's a pretty good chance it will do right between the middle. So it's like a level 2.5 Fireball, which is freaking insane on just an effect of a card. Like this will straight up put him probably at like the best Stan in the game, and that's saying something with Stan the Great being so broken as he is right now. Of course, he's still 4 cost, which it's no problem. He's legendary. He might be a little bit more expensive. It's fine. The effect is sick. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to see how this will work out. I got a feeling this one might just make him like the most sought after legendary in the game. I would not be surprised to see this guy just become staple in the meta. Yeah, interesting stuff. If there's a huge clash going on, it's gonna be real tough to beat out against Stand of Many Moons. Crazy. So, oh well, here you go. Stand of Many Moons. I forgot to click my cards. Great preparation. So, number 2 is Regeneration. So, this card wasn't scaling the way we wanted. It appears to have had an upgrading error. We now corrected the upgrading error in addition to the new rarity scaling. So the base regeneration will now be 12 HP per second. It will continue to scale up across upgrade levels, but the scaling amount will decrease towards the higher upgrade end. So what I gather from this is that it was bugged, so they fixed it. They don't specifically say how it wasn't scaling, so I mean, I'm not sure about that. Also, there's the new rarity scaling, so most likely regeneration is going to be a little bit stronger, but it's fine because all the other cards are also going to be doing more damage and have more health. So I think in general this will just balance out regeneration to be up to par to the new balance changes to attack and health on Legi Epic Rares. So yeah, no worries. I've actually checked the Reddit thread for the developer update already, and a lot of people are saying Mystic is kind of dead. I I don't completely agree. I'll get to why in a second. But first off, we have Mind Control. So the duration of Mind Control will now scale up more strongly. The base duration will remain 7 seconds, but it will now gain 0.5 seconds of duration per upgrade, rather than the 0.25 seconds it previously received. The maximum duration will now be 10 seconds of Mind Control Insanity. Not sure what to say about this. I'm not a big fan of Mind Control. I think for the effect that Mind Control has, you're probably not using the full like 10 seconds of it anyways, or even the 7. Yeah, not too sure. It's an expensive spell. You do take over 1 unit though. I mean, hell, it might even be used on Stand of Many Moons, like right before his charge effect charges up. Might be worth it actually, if that's the case. I mean, it's been an interesting tech card. I don't see this buff making a huge change, but if you mind control beefier units, this will probably help a little bit. Yeah, not too much to say about it. So next up is actually a couple. So Purify and Powerbind. I'll start with Purify. So they're saying before this, the current meta has made Purify and Powerbind absolutely punishing. I know all about that. They were able to effectively cripple many strategies and shut down far too many cards outright. I mean, the low cost alone let people cycle them almost without consequence. That alone meant we needed to make some changes. Now both of these cards will be brought into line with the relative power of their peers. So, this morning, I was on the Voices of Phone Destroyer podcast. You can check that out at Average Cat 777's channel. Definitely worth a watch. I think it was a fun episode. But we actually talked about our favorite cards and our most hated cards. And I actually listed Powerbind as my most hated card. I'll come to Powerbind in a second, but Purify, the change to this, the Bane of Poisoners and Spellcasters everywhere now has a static range of 1 meter. It also has an upgradable target amount at level 1. It will purify 1 unit at level 2, purify 2 units, and so on. So the cost of Purify has also been adjusted from 1 to 2. I'll go over Powerbind as well, because Powerbind got the similar treatment. Similarly, Powerbind now also has a static range of 1 meter and an upgradable target amount beginning at 1. The cost has also been increased to 2. So here you go, Powerbind. So the way I like to identify these two cards are actually as anti-fun cards. So for instance, I started running a Pope deck, which I've talked about before in my underused cards video, and I thought, well, let's give it a try. So this pretty much revolves around using poison to clear up the board, and if you have cost effectively cleared up the board, you have extra mana and you plop down a Marcus, you plop down a Marine Craig, you start poking him. The thing though is that both these cards actually, like, 2 1-cost cards make it so an entire deck, like an entire deck theme even, like the Pope deck, which you need Marcus for, and you need Craig for, and you kind of need the cost-effective poison to stick around. 2 1-cost cards will make it so that deck will never work, as they previously were, at least, before this update goes live. So I mean, everybody knows Purify just straight up destroys sci-fi, because poison is such an important part of sci-fi. I mean, it's not fun. If people like playing sci-fi, they actually could not play it because of Purify, and that's just... Of course, there is always the thing where you poison and then you get purified, and then you put on Alien Queen Red. Maybe you don't have Alien Queen Red upgraded that much though, and her poison, while it lasts for the entirety until the unit dies, it doesn't tick as hard as the normal poison. And I found when I did it, even though I have her decently upgraded at level 4, like most of the time I would still lose a health bar before the poison like did its work and killed the units. So this change should help a lot. First of all, because if you do get your poison purified, it's now a -1 instead of a -2 energy. Also, the range is going to be static at 1. I believe it was already pretty small. It got upgraded a little bit with each level, but nothing too big. So I think that's fine. It's mostly used for clumped up groups. The main thing though, which is actually what I was hoping for they would do with it someday. So I didn't expect this to happen this soon, or actually I didn't expect them to actually do the change that I was thinking about, but if you level it up, so it gets 1 extra target per level, which is fine, because oftentimes, for instance, Mystic all clumps their units around Zen Cartman. And if you play Adventure, you can very cost effectively deal with this by just fireballing it. Sci-Fi, on the other hand, their AoE damage is the poison. Beforehand, you would poison, they would purify, everything got purified, done. You're -2 energy. So, right now if they clump up, and they don't have purified leveled up to the normal standard, which would be level 5 for commons, which oftentimes they don't, because Purify is... there was really no need to really upgrade it, and I doubt people will start requesting Purify over other spells or over other units that they want to get up to level 5 first. In theory, this will probably hit 3 to 4 targets. So if there's a group of like 5 to 6 units, only half of them, or 4 out of 6, will get cleansed or purified, which means on those units that you poisoned, you'll be down 1 energy now. Although from like 3 to 4 units up, depending on how big the ball that you're poisoning is, that 1 energy loss you will probably still gain, because the other units are still poisoned, whereas before this change they would not be. So I think that's a great change to Purify. I think this is a great direction to take for Mystic. Also Powerbind, same thing. Powerbind on the other hand, so Powerbind, I don't see this being that big of an issue. The significant thing about Powerbind is the range decrease. It had a pretty long range, or pretty wide range before this. It still has, so up until the update goes live. The energy cost also will go from 1 to 2. That's fine if you can cancel out an effect like Stand the Great, Stand of Many Moons now, Marcus. If you can cancel one of those effects for 2 mana, that might be worth it. 2 mana is quite a bit though, to cancel an effect. If you have 1 target with it, it would have to be a rather like a damn good effect that you're trying to cancel out to make that worth the 2 energy investment. Realistically, you're probably not hitting more than 1 target with this, because now you're always going to play around it. You know the range of it. If you have 2 units that are charging up, you'll probably play them in the back first. You'll spread them out a little bit, and they'll start grouping up again near the center. But by then, their charge ability will be charged already, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, before I was making this video, I thought Powerbind would still be fine. But actually, now that I'm like saying it out loud, the 1 to 2 cost might actually, like the combination of it being reduced radius and it being 2 power might actually just tilt it into, I wouldn't say unplayable, but it would be more of a niche in the meta if you know there's like super powerful charge effects being ran in the meta, and you do really want to invest that 2 mana or 2 energy into cancelling it out before it goes off, which I think is fine. Before, these 2 cards were auto includes pretty much because you could just cycle them anytime you want it because it was 1 mana. Energy, sorry. And they were just, the point I was making before, the anti-fun. These 2 cards just straight up shut down a whole theme, which is sci-fi. And of course there's also other effects that they would shut down, but mainly sci-fi, which there's no way 2 1-mana cards, 2 energy cards should shut down a whole theme. So overall the changes to these 2 are freaking amazing. People are saying rip Mystic though, which I don't get. They can lose Powerbind, it's fine. They can keep it in their arsenal as like a tech for the meta. Purify is still fine in my opinion against Poison, Stand the Great, everything. It will just be a little bit weaker. And I mean, 1 mana more expensive. It's 100% more expensive, which is a lot. But if you're actually negating an effect like... I mean, Poison does a lot of damage. So if you can Purify it, it's still worth it. If your units are fighting, someone puts down Stand the Great effect, you can still Purify 3 to 4. You're just going to have to invest a little bit into upgrading it. It doesn't cost materials because it's a spell. I mean, if you really want to run Mystic, start upgrading your Purify and it will still be fine. You'll pay 1 more, but the effect was so strong that it should not matter, in my opinion. You'll pay the 1 extra energy. It's fine. Definitely, Mystic is definitely not dead. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. That was quite the rant. So Beyond. Today on the weekly live stream, we announced that there would be a seasonal ending and a legendary rank reset soon. This season will end on March 8th, so that is in, let me check my timeline, in approximately 3 weeks minus 1 day. The prizes will be announced soon in the future. This will be happening with a similar frequency, and this process will be much smoother after next season. We're also currently in process of rooting out bugs for the big feature update that everyone's waiting for. Excited to hear what it's going to be in that. Friendly battles will be in that, so that's nice. Terminating them with extreme prejudice. We have yet to set an exact date for the release, but it's expected to be during early to mid-March. Fine. It's like a month. I can wait a month. I'll play around with the new balance changes, and when I'm done with the balance changes, when they lost their fun, the big feature update will be here, so it's fine. There will be more info on this in the near future, coming at you in a different form than you're used to, so keep your eyes peeled over the coming weeks. It's all blah 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 blah. Love, Steve. We love you too, Steve. I never won at Red Links. So one quick note: if they keep this trend, that will of the legendary reset, that will mean legendary or a ladder season will be approximately 1 month. We also talked about this on the podcast, but I think it's a fine interval to have between seasons. It's like enough time to grind yourself back up to comfortable rank, prove yourself, get your rewards, and then you get set back to rank 50. And then it gets interesting again because everyone's like racing for first. I think it's like a fun little moment in time. Like the beginning and the end of the season are mostly, are often like the most fun times in a card game's season. So shortening the time between the end and the beginning of a season makes sense to me, because that way there'll be just more excitement around the season beginning and ending. So it's okay. I see that I've rambled actually quite a long time. Holy moly, we're at almost 25 minutes. So, yep. That was it. I'm done. I haven't even slept yesterday. Jeez. And I still made this video for you guys. So if you guys appreciate me putting in my sleepy effort to make this video, then like, subscribe this video, share with your friends. If you do like my content, especially my last video, South Park School, you should try and check that one out. I was pretty proud of that one. even though I say that myself. I think a lot of people could learn something from it. So if you do like it, like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, and I hope we can all grow this wonderful community together, and I want to be a part of that. So hey, that's it. All right, I'm rambling. Screw it. All right, peace.